welcome to the Sabermetrics Video Network. I'm Vince Verhei of Football Outsiders and ESPN Insider. I'm here today to talk about the latest version of Playmaker, which is Football Outsiders' method of predicting NFL success for wide receivers based on their collegiate receiving statistics. We've made a few changes to our formula this year. Most importantly, we're including combine data for the first time. We looked over the results of the various combine drills and found two events that have decent predictive value: the vertical jump and the 40-yard dash. Now, I should mention that the 40-yard dash, there's an asterisk with that one because really it's the first 10 yards of the event that has predictive value. Everything after that is basically random noise. So we're left with two events, the vertical jump and the 10-yard dash. And what both these events do is they measure first-step athleticism and explosive ability from a stationary position, which after all is the first thing a wide receiver does on every single play. So we put these together with the collegiate numbers, and here is how it turned out. We checked the numbers for every receiver drafted from 2005 to 2009, a group of 149 players. That gave us 5 years worth of recent history while giving every player at least 3 years to break out in the NFL after being drafted. We used average yards per season in the pros to determine each player's NFL success. Playmaker score correlates with NFL success to the tune of 0.49, which is awfully high in the world of football numbers. The key number for Playmaker score is 400. The 20 players in the study who met or achieved that number have averaged nearly 500 yards per season in the league, while those below that line have fared much worse. The best Playmaker score in that time frame is 621 by Calvin Johnson. Other players in the top 10 include Roddy White, Vincent Jackson, Sidney Rice, Akeem Nicks, Braylon Edwards, and Santonio Holmes. And Greg Jennings and Mike Wallace also made the top 15. Now, in our last version of Playmaker, we introduced conference adjustments for the first time. Different leagues can boost or suppress a given receiver's collegiate numbers, and we should expect a receiver in the SEC or the Big Ten to be better than a receiver from the Colonial Athletic Association, unless that receiver is named Victor Cruz. So this year, we couldn't quite get a conference adjustments to work correctly. They tended to boost receivers in the middle of the class rather than the top guys, so we've left them out of the formula, but we did want to note that some conferences have had much more success producing NFL receivers. This table shows that receivers from the SEC have fared better than those from other conferences, especially when compared to their college numbers. Some stars out of the SEC include Mississippi's Mike Wallace, LSU's Dwayne Bowe, Florida's Percy Harvin, and Tennessee's Robert Meekum. Meanwhile, the Big 12 receivers have almost all busted in the NFL. Michael Crabtree has been decent for the 49ers, but he has looked nothing like the guy who caught 41 touchdowns at Texas Tech. Kansas State's Jordy Nelson didn't do much in his first 4 NFL seasons, though he did go over 1,200 yards last year. And then you've got a quartet of guys from Oklahoma, guys like Mark Clayton and Brandon Jones, Mark Bradley and Malcolm Kelly. They were all drafted in the 3rd round or higher, but they have not accomplished much in the NFL. I do want to note quickly that, as the table shows, most small school guys have washed out in the pros, but those who have stuck around have been great successes. You've got guys like Roddy White out of Alabama Birmingham, Central Florida's Brandon Marshall, Western Michigan's Greg Jennings, and Northern Colorado's Vincent Jackson. So those guys who have stuck they've been home runs. All right, now that we've explained the process and gotten all the procedural mumbo-jumbo out of the way, it's time for the real fun and the 2012 draftees. Here are the 5 receivers with the highest Playmaker scores in the draft this year. 5 receivers in this year's draft made it over the critical 400 Playmaker score line, led by Georgia Tech's Stephen Hill. His Playmaker score of 660 is better than any player drafted from 2005 through 2009. Now, that's partly because his numbers are skewed by Georgia Tech's offense. We adjust each player's collegiate numbers by his team's pass attempts, and the Yellow Jackets triple option is so unique among college offenses, it kind of throws the whole system out of whack. On the other hand, the last wideout who shined in a run-heavy Georgia Tech offense and then dazzled at the Combine was Calvin Johnson, and he turned out okay. Playmaker score is also a fan of Baylor's Kendall Wright and Oklahoma State's Justin Blackmon, although keep in mind both these players come with the dreaded Big 12 asterisk. Fellow first-rounder A.J. Jenkins hails from the Big 10, which is a much more impressive pedigree for wide receivers these days. And if you're looking for a late-round sleeper, there's an obvious choice. Jordan White was the last wideout drafted, but his 421 Playmaker score was 3rd highest of any player selected. He hails from the same Western Michigan school that produced Greg Jennings, and Greg Jennings' Playmaker, by the way, was 445, which is virtually identical. So between Stephen Hill and Jordan White, suffice to say that Playmaker score is a big, big fan of the New York Jets draft. So if those are the guys with the high Playmaker scores, who comes out on the other end? Well, you've got Michael Floyd out of Notre Dame. He caught 100 passes last year for more than 1,100 yards, but he did it for a Fighting Irish team that threw 473 passes, and his combine numbers were nothing to get excited about. Ryan Broyles had 131 catches last year for more than 1,600 yards, but he did it on an Oklahoma team that threw a nation-high 633 balls. He is coming out of the Big 12, and he had the second worst combine numbers of any receiver in the draft. Some other well-known college stars who were undone by poor combine performances include LSU's Ruben Randall, Rutgers' Mohamed Sanu, and South Carolina's Alshon Jeffrey. So that's going to do it for today. For more on Playmaker Score, you can find my full essay in Football Outsiders Almanac 2012, available right now in both hard copy and PDF form at footballoutsiders.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.